Good afternoon, this is Dr. Justina Agnieszka Chevallier. This video now will be divided into first enlisted and then described in methodology ways to reestablish own perception of own independent from others bodily functions, instincts, and reappropriate them, and also establish sense of self existing, and that also will be later on in establishment of own likes and loves, especially when referring to food, clothes, luxury, beverages, activities, and also leisure and accommodation to provide self in that exercise a list of such. Next, all that is to establish that a person, each of us, has existence, life, body, and mind, also equipped in own mind and thoughts, and capacity to form own discriminative as good or bad, and different variations of that, judgments in flexible dynamic way when exposed to different life stimuli and new things every second. And after that, exercise will consist of implementing those likes and loves from that list to be served to that person, each of you that wants to do so, after by a person indicated by you as candidate for lifelong most adored and most desired in reciprocity, in collaboration with that person, partner, to be able to now, if that person serves it, preserve sense of having likes and loves as opposed to trying to comply with what that person demands or offers by criticism or negative attitude, or by praises. In this regard to those, to sustain sense of self. And also it will be accompanied by then corroboration of that list to become a list of likes and loves that in reality, from making in mind, from memories, that list to become something that is true to in real time using or wearing or doing those things, still being the most enjoyable and favorite to self. And that will be then a source of review of that list to eliminate things that are such only in mind and to, when exposed to them, are not favorite or loved as much. So only in mind one remembers such, and those that are less enjoyed than later on when talked about socially, because of how one envisions self-perceived by others style, we then assume that it was good afterwards by envisioning of such, while exposed again to those, we do not again enjoy them, and those need to be then less liked and loved. what the purpose is of that first exercise? It is to have sense of self possible and easy at hand, to enter into, in touch with own existence when exposed to severe harsh criticism or extraordinary praises in which persons flatter, or in situations when one works as a team and feels just like a branch in a tree in which sense of self is lost to perform task, and also in situations in which a task requires mindfulness, very intense concentration, in which sense of self becomes one attuned with all around, as if one was literally air, and in one with everything to perform that task, and everybody provides information as feedback to do the best, because it's task of importance when even a slight moment of inattention and lack of self-confidence and faith in others results in failure and accidents or death, such as driving, operating heavy machinery, such as performing surgeries, such as driving also, which is operating heavy machinery at high speeds, skiing, rollerblading, as well as other tasks such as, passing through a row of obstacles, etc. And this is next to become also in exercise of realization of mind content every day that I named personal runs. And when remembered persons as doing good, being good people, and having good, very good positive impression in real life, remembered as such, so that when no further contact with these persons occur, that does not become distorted by events around in assumption to present those persons as worse or equal to being bad, that in mind content they don't become distorted to being mad, bad or evil or downgraded, and that good positive memory, to have faith in goodness of persons, is sustained regardless of further contact or lack of thereof. It is not to remember to contrast wrongdoings of persons. No, it is to sustain true to reality good memories. And that same exercise applied to self is to have in plain true to reality, always oriented as being truthful and optimistic to what that body, mind and work serves for every single day to each of us, to self, and in search of health, purposefulness, usefulness of self, and the joy in inner and outer organs, expressions of self, looks, also in likes and dislikes, judgments, and in such being independent from others. And of course possible to modify by others and exposure to such, but per se having an impression at all times that one possesses such judgment is welcomed and allowed, and then doing such to others, to have that same method applied to persons who appear in mind spontaneously in those personal rounds, and having that good realistic outlook at how that person looks in and out, behaves in and out, or did so in the past, and in search of good context of such, and doing so also in mindfulness to potential lifelong partners, for a spouse, for a man as well as for a woman each. It is a self-help exercise. And doing so then In analysis, here I will determine if a person contracts me or a person that uses this material, if there is need for associated services or other services to aid such. But the goal of that is to retrieve all of life memories, to establish list of partners, suitors for a female, and maidens for a man that could become lifelong happiest relationship, source of children, or source of easier existence versus solitary existence. Next is, after having such established, pursuit of that person to have reversal of roles, in which if you are always assuming role of a person who provides saving, provides goods, provides always sexual and assurance in love of a person's worth, that person of opposite gender becomes one who will shift roles and will provide for you an assurance that that person loves and desires you, which is out of two different dynamics of based on basic instincts for adults, is based on pursuit that is equal to men and women of well-being of the other person, whether that person is weakened or suffers or is in danger or in pain, for instance, or depleted. And such will be the dynamic also to assure that that person knows, and in that interaction that person will be positioned in the role of the vulnerable person and the person who is always dominating, and assumes even identity of that person, assumes identity of others, to appear to do the best, even if that person were to become a snake, would appear and save that person, the other one, that it becomes that, and does it to many others, and to that person, that person re-establish faith in being loved and desired back. And if that man is in that role, assumes in freedom role of the dominating role to pursue that female sexually, and also as a romantic partner, to the best of interest in veracity of such responses, and to re-establish source own body responses from being touched, approached, and presented, contrasted with that other person's sexual arousal from self, as opposed to lovemaking. Now, persons will be consented to potential of becoming pregnant and having a child in such a thing, and if a woman will be at such role and that a man will be the one who is preferred and it is mutual, then it will be because the role reversal is not necessary to men being the pursuing role, men will be the pursuing one, then it will be more of an exercise in which that man will be in state of exhaustion or never pursued, or that woman would be actually the person that never has had such experience of rescuing or assisting the person, being considered by that man like a maiden victim, and without harming. I then will talk about cases of such used in context of past history of homicide, suicide, as well as past history of torture or a pursuit of sexual activity where the pleasure is derived from harming another. In those individuals, that same exercise will be applied, modified to conditions of restraint of sexuality, and it will be also added to the mirror as source of a declaration in energy of desire, visible one, mutuality, and that will be source in impediment of pursuit of physical contact of a relationship, and that will form the basis for marriages if that is wanted, in mind and in confirmation in person, when that is warranted and past the resolution of pain index that I spoken about before.